I discovered the thing that I truly loved was the stories from older folks, the backgrounds, the living history. There are everybody has amazing stories, and I found that the older you are, the more history you have, and the more amazing stories that you have. So just sitting and listening to people's experiences as they've gone through life, and able to have the luxury where I don't necessarily have appointments and I can spend as much time as I want, or the families want me to spend, or the patient wants me to spend with their loved ones, is wonderful. I don't have people knocking on my door trying to say you've got somebody waiting on you. So I have the freedom to be able to dedicate as much time as that person needs, which is wonderful. And part of that, for my own gratification, is hearing some of those stories and some of that history that's still there. One of the critical parts of care at this level is communication with not only patients but their families. Folks that transition through here with rehabilitation, part of rehabilitation is family involvement. People aren't silos. They aren't able to exist or do things. They're weaker or have difficulties by virtue of whatever brought them to the hospital and then to us. So they're not 100%. And so they need that support. Now that support could be family or friends or others, but involving those others is as important as involving the patient. So communication is paramount. Well, and you asked me why I loved what I do with this. And I remember I was giving a lecture to a group of the residents about why it's important to get influenza, the flu shots. And about 5 minutes into it, I realized that the lecture was dry, people were not very interested, and I couldn't help myself. I had to ask, I stopped and I asked, how many people are around for the 1918 flu? And 4 people raised their hand. 3 remembered it. So I said, I'm done. I want to hear your stories. So for the next 45 minutes, those 3 folks told stories about how they remembered the 1918 flu. One of them actually was old enough, about 10 or 11, that they remembered quite clearly in Philadelphia the impact that had had. So it was dramatic. At the end of it, I said, all right, now turn to everybody and tell them why it's important to get a flu shot. That was them telling each other, when all I did was facilitate or mediate that, and it was more important than anything that I could have said. And that was pretty profound, because I remember reading stories about this, and people forget that there's folks that have been around for a lot of the recent history that we've had in the last 80, 90 years, and they're here in this building.